10 Common English Mistakes with Prepositions from EspressoEnglish.net. Prepositions can be very challenging, even for advanced English learners. Today, I'll teach you 10 of the most common mistakes students make with prepositions and how to fix them. Number 1. A lot of students make the mistake of saying depends of when the correct way is depends on. For example, is there a soccer game tomorrow? It depends on the weather. After depend, always use on, never of. Number 2. Sometimes students say, we discussed about the issue, or I'm considering about joining a club. But this is not correct. The word about is not necessary after the verb discuss or consider. The correct way to say it is, we discussed the issue, and I'm considering joining a club. Remember, discuss and consider are the more formal words for talk about and think about. When using talk and think, then you do need to use the word about. For example, we talked about the issue. I'm thinking about joining a club. Number 3. Don't say, I like to exercise in the night. The correct way is, I like to exercise at night. We say in the morning, in the afternoon, and in the evening, but night is an exception. We say at night. Number 4. Don't say, let's meet on next Monday. And don't say, I got a promotion in last June. It's not necessary to use on or in these cases. The correct sentences are, let's meet next Monday, and I got a promotion last June. It's true that normally we use on for days and in for months. Let's meet on Monday. I got a promotion in June. Except when we have last or next. So if we say next Monday or last June, then we don't use on or in. Number 5. Don't say he's married with a journalist. The correct sentence is, he's married to a journalist. Similarly, don't say, my sister is divorced with her husband. The correct way is, my sister is divorced from her husband. Number 6. Don't say, the team lacks of organization. Lack as a verb does not use the word of, so the correct way to say it is, the team lacks organization. We use of after lack when lack is used as a noun. For example, I hate the lack of organization, and the project failed thanks to our lack of organization. In both of those sentences, lack is used as a noun, so we include the word of. But when lack is used as a verb, it does not use of. Number 7. Don't say, I spend a lot of money in clothes. The correct way is, I spend a lot of money on clothes. We always spend money on something. Now, when we spend time, then we don't use on or in. We simply use the ing form of the verb. For example, I spend a lot of time reading. Number 8. Sometimes I hear students use the words of, to, or for after angry. For example, are you angry of me? But that's not correct. The correct prepositions are at and with. They're essentially the same. So you can say, are you angry at me? Or, are you angry with me? A person can be angry about a topic, problem, or issue, and angry at or with a person. Number 9. Don't say, I'm going in Italy soon. The correct way is, I'm going to Italy soon. It's true, we use in for being in a city or country. For example, I live in Italy. I'm in Rome right now. But after the verbs go and come, then always use to. For example, when are you coming to Italy? They went to Rome last week. Number 10. Don't say, I graduated at university or of university in 2005. The correct preposition to use is from. I graduated from university in 2005. You could also say the specific name of your university. For example, I graduated from Hamilton College in 2005. If you want to get your English mistakes corrected, join one of my courses that include feedback, which are the Vocabulary Builder course, Phrasal Verbs and Conversation, the Idioms course, Advanced English Grammar, and Everyday English Speaking. Click on the link in the video or in the description for more information. 15 Common Errors in Spoken English from EspressoEnglish.net. Number 1. Everybody are happy. Words like everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody are actually singular, not plural. Even though everybody refers to a lot of people, it takes the singular verb, so the correct sentence is everybody is happy. Number 2. I'll explain you the problem. In this sentence, there are two objects, the direct object, the problem, and the indirect object, you. After explain, we need to use to before the indirect object, the person to whom we are doing the explaining. Also, it's more common to put the direct object first, so the correct sentence is, I'll explain the problem to you. Number 3. I have the possibility to study in Canada next year. With the word have, we use opportunity, not possibility, so the correct sentence is, I have the opportunity to study in Canada next year. The word possibility is more used with there is. For example, there's a possibility I may study in Canada next year. Number 4. I think she doesn't like tomatoes. Although there's no specific grammar rule here, it's more common to say, I don't think she likes tomatoes. Number 5. If I will see John later, I'll give him the message. Although both events, seeing John and giving him the message, are technically in the future, this sentence should be in the first conditional form. If I see John later, I'll give him the message. In the first conditional, we have two parts of the sentence, the condition and the result. Although both are in the future, we use the present form of the verb with if, and then will and won't with the verb in the result. Number 6. Do you want that I make breakfast? The word that is not typically used after want. The correct sentence is, do you want me to make breakfast? Number 7. I'm thinking to buy a new car. When you are considering doing something in the future, we don't use the word to after think. So the correct sentence would be, I'm thinking of buying a new car, or I'm thinking about buying a new car. We use the word of or about with the ing form of the verb. Number 8. They enjoyed the baseball game despite of the rain. Despite and in spite of mean the same thing. but after despite we never use of. The correct sentence would be, they enjoyed the baseball game despite the rain, or they enjoyed the baseball game in spite of the rain. Number 9. My 10-year-old daughter loves to dance. When the age comes after the word is, then you say years old. For example, my daughter is 10 years old. But when the age comes before the person or object as an adjective, then you say year, not years. My 10-year-old daughter loves to dance. Number 10. Our house is near to the beach. Near and close to mean the same thing, but the word to is never used after near. The correct sentence is, our house is near the beach, or our house is close to the beach. Number 11. I like very much soccer. We don't normally put very much between a verb, like, and its object, soccer. The correct sentence would be, I like soccer very much. However, in spoken English, it would probably be more common to say, I like soccer a lot, or I really like soccer. Number 12. Gary gave to Joan the keys. The verb give has two objects, the indirect object, Joan, and the direct object, the keys. We can say this sentence correctly in two ways. Gary gave Joan the keys, or Gary gave the keys to Joan. Number 13. She asked me, where do I work? This is one of the most difficult parts of English, reported speech. In reported questions, we do not use the auxiliary verbs do, does, or did, so the correct sentence is, she asked me where I work. Number 14. They left without say goodbye. When you use a verb after conjunctions and prepositions like after, before, since, when, while, without, instead of, and in spite of, the verb is generally in the ing form. So the correct sentence is, they left without saying goodbye. Number 15. I need to finish this project until Friday. We use until to talk about a continuous situation that will continue up to a certain moment. For example, I'm staying in the city until June. Staying is a continuous action. Use the word by to talk about a single action or event that will happen before a future moment. By is often used with deadlines, so the correct sentence is, I need to finish this project by Friday. For more detailed explanations about the most common English errors, get the book 100 Common Errors in English, available at espressoenglish.net. Thanks for watching English Tips from Espresso English. If you liked this video, please share it. Common English pronunciation mistakes from espressoenglish.net. English pronunciation is challenging. There are many exceptions, and a number of words are not pronounced the way their spelling would suggest. Today, I'll teach you the correct ways to say common words that English learners often mispronounce. Let's start with these. 1 woman, 2 or more women. In the singular form, the first syllable sounds like w, woman. In the plural form, you can see that the spelling only changes a little bit. the A changes to an E, but the difference in pronunciation is actually in the first syllable. Women, wi, women. Repeat after me. 1 woman, 2 women. Students also have some difficulty distinguishing between the vowel sounds in the singular form, man, and the plural form, men. Listen to the difference and try to repeat it. A, man, men. Let's do a little more practice with this pair of sounds. Listen and repeat. Sat, set, past, pest, bag, beg. Another bit of tricky pronunciation is with the word child, singular, and children, plural. The vowel sound of the I changes. The I in child is like the I sound in while and smile, child. But the I sound in children is like the ill sound in fill and pill, children. Repeat again after me. 1 child, 2 children. A similar thing happens with the verb write and the past participle, written. The I in write is like in the words night and bite, right. But the I in written is like in the words sit and bit, written, right, written. Another common mistake that English learners tend to make involves the oo sound. The word good is not like food. There are 2 different sounds there. Good has the sound, and food has the oo sound. Listen to me and repeat. Ooh, good, food, good food. It's the same with the words pull and pool. Pull, pool. Other words that have this sound in good and pull are stood, could, push, cook. Here's another one where the spelling is similar but the pronunciation is different. The words please and the past participle or adjective pleased have the E sound, the same as in the words see, read, and keep. Please, pleased. But the words pleasant and pleasure have the sound, as in the words get, best, and read. Pleasant, pleasure. Something similar happens with the word court. The OUR in court is pronounced or, same as in the words for, sport, and poor. Court. But in the words courtesy and courteous, that same OUR has an sound, as in the words earn, hurt, and curtain. Courtesy, courteous. This sound is also present in the words word, work, and worst. Don't pronounce the O like an O. Don't say ward or something like that. If it's difficult, try closing your eyes and repeating after me. Word rhymes with bird. Work rhymes with perk. And worst rhymes with first. Some students tend to drop the H in words like house, husband, herd, history, and human. The H sound is very soft, but it should be present, so don't say ouse, husband, erd, and so on. Listen to me and repeat. House, husband, herd, history, human. The H is silent in the words our, honor, and air. Two more sounds that students often mix up are the I sound in fit and the E sound in feet. The first three words are pronounced fit, hip, live, and the next three words are pronounced feet, heap, leave. Mixing up the words live and leave is especially common, so make sure you can make the difference between the I sound and the E sound. Two more sounds that are quite similar are the sh sound in ship and the ch sound in chip. What's the difference between them? Well, the ch sound is just shorter and more explosive. Try practicing by listening and repeating after me. Ship, share, sheet, chip, chair, cheat. You can get feedback on your pronunciation and accent if you take my pronunciation and shadowing courses. These courses have exercises to help you practice and improve your pronunciation. These courses both include an evaluation, so at the end of the course you can send me a recording of your speaking and I'll correct any errors, give you tips for clearer pronunciation, and help you improve your accent. Click on the link in the video for more information. Common English mistakes with direct and indirect objects from espressoenglish.net. Can you find the mistakes in these sentences? They are all incorrect. They don't sound natural. I bought yesterday a new t-shirt. Please finish quickly the report. I'll put on the table the dishes. What's wrong with these sentences? Well, each sentence has a verb, bought, finish, and put. And each sentence also has a direct object. A direct object is the object that is acted upon by the verb. So, the direct object in the first sentence is a new t-shirt. In the second sentence, the direct object is the report. And in the third sentence, the direct object is the dishes. But it doesn't sound natural when we have a word in the middle between the verb and its direct object, and that's why these sentences sound strange. Here's the correct way to say them. I bought a new t-shirt yesterday. You can see that the direct object, a new t-shirt, immediately follows the verb, bought. Please finish the report quickly. I'll put the dishes on the table. So, whenever we have a verb with a direct object, keep the verb and direct object together and don't put any words in the middle. Now, there's one exception, and that is indirect objects. An indirect object is the person who receives the action or receives the direct object. In these sentences, the indirect objects are highlighted in yellow. For example, I gave John the books. Gave is the verb. The books are the direct object, and John is the indirect object. Please send me the report. Send is the verb, the report is the direct object, and me is the indirect object. I'll lend you my car. Lend is the verb, my car is the direct object, and you is the indirect object. So it's okay to have an indirect object in the middle, between the verb and the direct object. But here's one more mistake. Sometimes students say, I gave to John the books. Please send to me the report. I'll lend to you my car. These sentences are also incorrect. If you want to use the word to, then you should put the indirect object at the end of the sentence. For example, I gave the books to John. Please send the report to me. I'll lend my car to you. These sentences are the same as when we have the indirect object in the middle. So, I gave the books to John is exactly the same as I gave John the books. Both versions are correct. So let's review. When a verb has a direct object, keep the direct object immediately after the verb. For example, please finish the report quickly. It is possible for an indirect object to come in the middle. For example, please send me the report. The indirect object can also be at the end with to. For example, please send the report to me. But you can't put it in the middle with to. Don't say, please send to me the report. That's not correct. We often put the indirect object at the end of the sentence with to if the indirect object is a long phrase. For example, please send the report to the managing editor of the newspaper. The managing editor of the newspaper is quite a long phrase, so it's best to put it at the end of the sentence after to, and not in the middle between the verb and the direct object. If you'd like to correct your mistakes and learn to use English more confidently, check out my Advanced English Grammar course, which will take your English from good to great. It includes feedback on writing tasks which are included with every lesson. Click on the link in the video to learn more. Common errors in English with a, an, and the. Number 1. Do not use a or an with plural or uncountable nouns. For example, a fact is correct because fact is singular, but you can't say a facts because facts is plural. An information and an advice are also incorrect because information and advice are uncountable nouns. However, you can say a piece of information or a piece of advice. Don't say a pants, a glasses, or a scissors. You need to say a pair of pants, a pair of glasses, and a pair of scissors. Rice, butter, and ice are also uncountable, so you can't use the word a, but you can say a grain of rice, a stick of butter, and an ice cube. Number 2. Whether you use a or an follows the sound, not the letter of the next word. For example, we say a uniform because uniform starts with a y sound, but an umbrella because umbrella starts with an a sound, a vowel sound. We say a hat because hat starts with an h sound, but in the word hour the h is silent, so we say an hour. We say a non-governmental organization when we say the full words, but when we abbreviate it, then we say an NGO. Why? because the letter N starts with the vowel sound E, an, N-G-O. Number 3. Do not use a or an without a noun following it. For example, you can't say, I am a Japanese, because Japanese is an adjective and there is no noun in the sentence. Instead, you could say, I am Japanese, or I am a Japanese woman. In this case, it's okay to use a because there's a noun, woman, after the adjective Japanese. Here's another example. He is an intelligent. This is not possible because intelligent is an adjective and there is no noun. Instead, say he is intelligent or he is an intelligent man. The word the can be used for singular or plural and countable or uncountable for specific things, not for general things. For example, vegetables are good for you. That's vegetables in general, so we don't use the word the. But if you say, the vegetables at the market are always fresh, then we are talking about specific vegetables, the ones at the market, so we use the word the before vegetables. Here's another example. I need advice. That's advice in general. Any advice would be useful. But in the sentence, the advice you gave me was very helpful, now we're talking about some specific advice, the advice you gave me, so we put the word the before advice. Do not use the with continents, countries, with some exceptions, states, cities, or streets. So Asia, Paris, Europe, California, Russia, and Main Street do not include the word the. The exceptions are the United States, the United Kingdom, as well as their short forms, the US and the UK, the Philippines, the Czech Republic, the Marshall Islands, and one more I didn't have room for, the Central African Republic. Do not use the with companies and universities, again, with some exceptions. The companies Samsung and Microsoft, and the universities Harvard, Hamilton College, and New York University do not use the word the. Only use the if the university name starts with the word university, as in the case of the University of Pennsylvania. Do not use the for languages and holidays, like Spanish, Italian, Christmas, New Year's Day, or Independence Day. Now, with other places it's a little tricky. Don't use the with individual lakes or mountains, like Mount Everest, Pikes Peak, or Lake Ontario. Use the with oceans, rivers, valleys, deserts, and mountain ranges. That's groups of mountains. For example, the Pacific Ocean, the Amazon River, the San Fernando Valley, the Sahara Desert, and the Rocky Mountains, as well as with specific points on the globe, like the North Pole, the South Pole, and the equator. What about some places that aren't proper nouns? Don't use the in these sentences. I'm going home. She's at work. He's in jail. We attend church. My kids went to bed. My sister's in high school. My brother's in college. But you need to use the with these places. I went to the bank. Let's go to the movies. He's at the office. The office meaning his place of work. I'll stop by the post office. My dad's in the hospital. I got a taxi to the airport. We're at the train station, or we're at the bus stop. We took my son to the doctor, or the dentist. Thanks for watching. For more lessons, check out the English tips, ebooks, and courses at espressoenglish.net. 3 very common mistakes with the English word it from EspressoEnglish.net. The first one is forgetting to use it when the sentence needs a subject. For example, I just bought a new computer. Was on sale. That's not correct. Every sentence in English needs a subject, so we need to say it was on sale. The word it functions as the subject referring to the new computer. We also use it as the subject with weather and time. Don't say, is raining. The correct sentence is, it's raining. Don't say, is cold today. The correct sentence is, it's cold today. And don't say, is 5 o'clock. The correct sentence is, it's 5 o'clock. These sentences need a subject, and we can use the subject it. The second mistake is forgetting to use it when the verb needs an object. Here are some examples. What did you do with the document? I sent to your secretary. That's not correct. It's missing the word it. Where's my jacket? I put in the closet. In these sentences, the main verbs sent and put need a direct object. The correct way to say it is, I sent it to your secretary, it meaning the document. I put it in the closet, it referring to the jacket. And the third common mistake is using it to repeat the subject that's already in the clause. For example, don't say, this food, it's not very good. Don't say, the best part about English class, it's that we play a lot of games. These sentences already have subjects. In the first sentence, the subject is this food. So then we just need to say the verb, is. We don't need it's. This food is not very good. In the second sentence, the subject is the best part about English class. That whole phrase is the subject, and we have the verb is. So again, we don't need the word it repeating the subject. Many students make this mistake when the subject is a long phrase, like in the second example, the best part about English class, rather than just one word. Now, we could use it if we added a second clause to the sentence. That means a second phrase containing a subject and verb. For example, this food is not very good, but at least it's cheap. Now we have two subjects and two verbs, one in each clause. If you really want to master the advanced details of the English language, my Advanced English Grammar course will help you. It includes personal feedback on your written English, so you can send me your writing and I'll correct your mistakes. Common English mistakes with to from EspressoEnglish.net. It can be hard for English learners to know when to use the word to. Here are sentences with common mistakes and the correct way to say them. Don't say, I'm going to home, or we're going to there. It's incorrect. With most places, we use go to. For example, I'm going to the party. Let's go to New York. He went to work. But there are exceptions with the words home, downtown, there, and somewhere. For example, I'm going home. Let's go downtown. He went there. I want to go somewhere nice. You can see that we don't use to with these words. Here are a few more. Abroad, upstairs and downstairs, inside, outside, and out. For example, I'm going abroad next semester. Let's go upstairs, or let's go downstairs. He went inside. He went outside, or he went out. Here's another place where you should not use the word to. Don't say, we arrived to the airport, or when will you arrive to Rome? It's never correct to have the word to after arrive. Instead, you should say, we arrived at the airport, or, more informally, we got to the airport. When will you arrive in Rome? Get to is a more informal way to say arrive, so that's why we can say we got to the airport. But again, don't use the word to with the previous exceptions, like home, there, and outside. For example, I got home at midnight. What time did you get there? The dog got outside again. Here's another mistake. Don't say, you should to read more books. Don't say, I must to take this medicine. Don't say, she could to buy a car. And don't say, we will to call you soon. Never use to after could, should, would, must, can, or will. So the correct way to say these sentences is, you should read more books. I must take this medicine. She can buy a car. We will call you soon. After could, should, would, must, can, and will, always use the base form of the verb. Don't use to. You should use to after the words need and able. So, another way to say I must take this medicine is I need to take this medicine. They mean the same thing. Another way to say she can buy a car is she is able to buy a car. Again, the two sentences are equivalent. Another mistake I sometimes see students make with the word to is after the word prevent or stop. For example, don't say the locked door prevents or stops people to enter. The correct structure is this. The locked door prevents or stops people from entering. After prevent or stop, we have a person or an object, and then from plus the ing form of the verb. The locked door prevents or stops people from entering. Never use to after the word let. For example, don't say, the boss lets us to leave work early. It's not correct. The right way to say it is, the boss lets us leave work early. After let, we have a person, us, and then the base form of the verb, leave. The boss lets us leave work early. Now, this is the most informal and most common way to express this sentence, but you could also say, the boss allows us to leave work early, or the boss permits us to leave work early. With the verbs allow and permit, we use to, but with let, we don't use to, we only use the base form. Now here's a place where students often forget to use the word to, but it's actually necessary. Don't say, I like to listen music. You need to have the word to after listen. I like to listen to music. However, don't use to after the verb hear or see. For example, don't say, I heard you to call my name, or I saw him to take the money. You don't need the word to after hear or see, so the correct sentences are, I heard you call my name, and I saw him take the money. If you'd like your mistakes corrected, join one of my courses that include feedback. Those are the Vocabulary Builder course, Phrasal Verbs in Conversation, the Idioms course, my Advanced English Grammar course, and Everyday English Speaking. Each of these courses includes a writing or speaking task where you can get my feedback on your English and corrections. Click on the link in the video for more information. How to fix 10 common errors in English from EspressoEnglish.net. Number 1. It is very important to practice English. The correct sentence is, it is very important to practice English. In this structure, when a verb is used after an adjective, the verb is in the to infinitive. For example, it's better to apologize. It's great to see you. It's difficult to find a parking spot. Number 2. I want to take part of the event. That's not correct. The correct sentence is, I want to take part in the event. The expression take part in is an informal way to say participate in. The expression part of means a piece of or some of. For example, part of this apple is rotten. I'm glad to be part of the team. Number 3. Don't say, these are my favorite shoes. The correct sentence is, these are my favorite shoes. Adjectives are always singular in English, even if the noun is plural. For example, our house has 3 small rooms. The forest is filled with giant trees. I have a couple of friendly dogs. Number 4A. She takes always a long time to finish. The correct sentence is, she always takes a long time to finish. The word always comes before the main verb. Here are more examples. We always take the bus to school. I always forget to close the window. You always think you're right. Number 4B. He always is late. That's not correct. The correct sentence is, he is always late, or he's always late. The only exception to the rule about always coming before the main verb is when the verb is a form of to be. In this case, always comes after to be. For example, we're always tired at the end of the day. I was always the top student in my class. In the future, the word always comes in the middle, will always be. For example, she will always be my best friend. These heroes will always be remembered. Number 5. I couldn't attend to the class yesterday. The correct sentence is, I couldn't attend the class yesterday. When you are present in a place, use the verb attend without to. For example, attend a meeting, attend a conference, and attend a seminar. Attend to means something different. It means to deal with some business or take care of something. For example, I have to attend to some important matters. Paramedics attended to the victims of the accident. Number 6. We arrived to the airport at 3 o'clock. The correct sentence is, we arrived at the airport at 3 o'clock. We use go to and get to, but we arrive at a place and arrive in a city or country. For example, you can say, we got to the party just as it was starting. Got to is an informal way to say arrived at. We arrived at the party just as it was starting. If we take the express train, we'll get to Berlin in an hour. Or, if we take the express train, we'll arrive in Berlin in an hour. But don't say arrive to. It's not correct. Also, remember that the word home doesn't take any prepositions. For example, we arrived home early. We got home early. And let's go home. You don't need to say go to home. Just say go home. Number 7. The accident caused a lot of damages to the car. The correct sentence is, the accident caused a lot of damage to the car. Damage is considered an uncountable noun and is always singular. The word damage means harm or problems to an object or property. The noun damages means something different. This word refers to the money awarded by the court to compensate for the damage. For example, if a faulty microwave explodes and causes damage to your house, the manufacturer of the microwave might have to pay damages to you so that you can repair your house. Number 8. My apartment is 10 miles far from here. The correct sentence is, my apartment is 10 miles away from here. You can also say, my apartment is 10 miles from here, without using away. It's confusing because the question asks how far, but we don't use far in the answer. For example, How far is the nearest gas station? It's about 2 blocks away. How far is the museum from here? At least 5 miles. You should probably take the bus. You can only use far in the answer when you are not giving a specific distance. You're just giving a general answer. For example, if someone says, "How far is the nearest gas station?" you could say, "It's not far," meaning it's a short distance away. Or, "It's pretty far, quite far, or very far," meaning it's a long distance away. Number 9. The boss requested me to send the information. The correct sentences are, the boss asked me to send the information. That's less formal. Or, the boss requested that I send the information. That's more formal. After the verb ask, we always use a person. For example, they're asking him for answers. She asked me for a drink. He asked us to take his picture. I'm asking them to stop. The word request is a more formal word for ask for. We do not use a person immediately after request. For example, they're requesting answers. She requested a drink. When someone requests an object, we use request plus the object. She requested a drink. And when you ask that somebody do something, then we use request that. For example, he requested that we take his picture. I'm requesting that they stop. Number 10. On next Friday, we're going to Paris. The correct sentence is, next Friday, we're going to Paris. When using next, last, and this, you don't need to use a preposition like on, in, or at. For example, let's get together this Saturday. I went to Russia last July. We're going hiking next weekend. You don't need to say in last July or on next weekend. Simply last July and next weekend are fine. Would you like to get corrections on your written English? In the Advanced English Grammar course, each lesson includes a writing task where you can send me your text and I'll send you feedback. This course will help you master the details of English and take your English from good to great. Correct your English errors fast. Today, we're going to talk about common errors that students make when speaking English. But first, I want to say one thing. Don't let the fear of errors stop you from speaking English. Remember, it's more important to communicate and practice your speaking, even if it's not perfect. However, one of the fastest ways to correct your English errors is to focus on avoiding the most common mistakes, which are made by English learners from many countries and at various levels. I'll teach you 5 in this lesson. Number 1. The difference between haven't and don't have. I haven't a car is incorrect. The correct sentence is, I don't have a car. When have is the main verb, meaning possession, we use don't have and doesn't have. For example, I don't have any sisters. Bob doesn't have a dog. When have is the auxiliary verb, like in the present perfect, then we use haven't and hasn't. For example, I haven't finished my work yet. Jane hasn't taken the test. Number 2. Everybody like or likes. Everybody like the teacher is incorrect. The correct sentence is, everybody likes the teacher. The words everybody, anybody, somebody, and nobody all take the singular form of the verb. Everybody refers to many people, but it considers them as a group. Other words that refer to many people but take the singular form of the verb include team, club, staff, family, police, and class. Number 3. Indirect and direct objects. Gary gave to Joan the keys is incorrect. The correct sentence is, Gary gave the keys to Joan, or Gary gave Joan the keys. Let's look at the parts of this sentence. Gary is the subject, gave is the verb, the keys are the direct object, and Joan is the indirect object. In English, we can form the correct sentence in 2 ways. The indirect object often comes immediately after the verb. Subject, verb, indirect object, direct object. Gary gave Joan the keys. You can also put the direct object first and add to before the indirect object. Gary gave the keys to Joan. However, you can't put the indirect object first and use to. Number 4. Prepositions and verbs. They left without say goodbye is incorrect. The correct sentence is, they left without saying goodbye. Verbs immediately following prepositions like before, after, since, when, while, despite, without, and for always take the ing form. Here are some examples. After graduating from college, she started working full-time. This course is great for improving your English. Number 5. Reported questions. He asked me, where do I live? Is incorrect. The correct sentence is, he asked me where I live. This sentence is an example of a reported question. We are talking about a question someone asked in the past. In reported questions, don't use the auxiliary verbs do, does, or did. Here's another example. They asked me, what did I think? Is incorrect. The correct sentence is, they asked me what I thought. In my years of experience as an English teacher, I've heard many of the same errors very frequently. So I wrote a book to help students correct them. 100 Common Errors in English. It teaches you the errors and the explanations. You can buy the book for $15 on espressoenglish.net. You'll find it very helpful in correcting your English errors. If you want to see a free sample of the book before you buy it, you can download one by clicking the link under this video.